Hey guys, it's your girl, Attorney Simone, your legal bestie, and this is another episode of Girl, Is That Legal? Now, initially, this video was going to solely be dedicated to Dr. Dre and his new lawsuit, but so much has gone on today that I wanted to make sure I give you guys updates on all the legal happenings, some of the most interesting for today. So, on today's docket, we've got number one, Diddy wants names. Number two, there's an update in the Christian Gold saga. And three, the Dr. Dre lawsuit, of course. So, first up, Diddy wants names. So, Diddy today has filed a letter motion with the court demanding the names of all of the victims who have filed suit, who are going to be used in the criminal case against him. Now, this is interesting because specifically, he's saying that he cannot launch a fair defense without knowing the names of his accusers. Now, at this time, the state, as in the prosecutors, are saying, not so fast, Diddy. You need to wait until we're required to disclose that in discovery. And the government's position, so it's called the state when it's literally a state offense, so your local prosecutor. It's called the government's position when it's the Fed. So the government's position is no, you harass people, you intimidate people, you try to hurt people who are going to testify against you. So we are going to take our good old sweet time before we let you know the criminal allegations that are being launched against you and which of the victims. Now, we all know Cassie is one of them because her facts, the video, and all of that were listed in the indictment. But there are many others. I believe Kid Cudi is rumored to be the guy who Diddy and his team committed arson against by blowing up the man's car. So that's also been known. And then we've got other victims because just yesterday in the Diddy saga, there were 6 John Doe and Jane Doe lawsuits filed against him. He's saying basically, if you're going to use these against me in the criminal trial, let me know who I'm up against. Now, he needs that, to be fair, he needs that on a timely basis because the trial is going to be May 5th. Cinco de Mayo. Okay, this is going to be a Cinco de Mayo. I'm going to have my margarita. I'm going to be sitting out front of that courthouse because I probably won't be able to get in because it's going to be oodles and oodles of people trying to probably press primarily. Ooh, got to work on my press pass for next year. But as well, it's coming up. That's 7 months. So in 7 months, he's going to have to put multiple private investigators on it. And those private investigators are, of course, going to look for dirt on each and every one of the victims. Now, I have the document here, and I want to share something very interesting with y'all in the document. Now, this is the letter that his lawyer filed. And in the first paragraph, the lawyer says, this case is unique in part because the number of individuals levying allegations against Mr. Combs due to his celebrity status, wealth, and the publicity of his previously settled lawsuit. Now, they could have controlled that, but they didn't. They could have. His previously settled lawsuit and the grand jury leaks and false inflammatory statements by the Department of Homeland Security agents as outlined in their previous motion. So they believe that DHS leaked the video, okay, as well as, and it says, this has had a pervasive ripple effect, resulting in a torrent of allegations by unidentified complainants spanning from the false to outright absurd. Yesterday alone, anonymous accusers filed an additional 6 lawsuits. Counsel for these accusers recently convened a press conference prior to filing, at which he claimed to represent 120 accusers, making outrageous and deeply prejudicial allegations, including violent assault and abuse of minors. This publicity stunt broadcast on Instagram included an 800 number that reportedly received 1,200 calls in the first 24 hours. These accusations came on the heels of more than a dozen lawsuits previously filed and currently pending, several of which have already been discredited, but only after irreparably damaging Mr. Combs' character and reputation. These swirling allegations have created a hysterical media circus that, if left unchecked, will irreparably deprive Mr. Combs of a fair trial if they haven't already. In light of the number and anonymity of accusers, on October 7th, Mr. Combs asked the government to identify its alleged victims. counsel has conferred with the government, who opposes disclosure of the alleged victims' names at this stage. And this motion goes on to say the court should require the government to identify the alleged victims. Now, they give traditional reasons. It says, first, without clarity from the government, he has no way of knowing which allegations the government is relying on for the purposes of the indictment. It says, other than victim one, which is Cassie, there's no way for Mr. Combs to determine who the other unidentified alleged victims are. The number of potential alleged victims and the length of time alleged in the indictment both weigh in favor of a bill of particulars. That's a different type of motion where he's literally asking for specifics. And then second, it says, given the anticipated amount of discovery, the expedited time required for this production, Combs will be unable to defend himself. And thirdly, the publicity of these allegations in civil suits seriously undermines his right to a fair trial. Let me pull this down. His right to a fair trial. I need this banner out the way. Here you go. In fact, it states the attorneys and plaintiffs making these allegations are not bound by local rule 23 and can therefore make or have made limitless and unchallenged statements to the press. Y'all, what this refers to is the fact that even if someone is bold-faced lying in their petition, in their civil lawsuit, you can't sue Diddy for filing a civil lawsuit. I'm sorry, Diddy can't sue you for filing a civil lawsuit. There's literally immunity for lawsuits, and that's because otherwise rich people would sue poorer people for defamation in order to silence them. Okay. It says, because Diddy does not know which allegations are credited by the government and thus come within the ambit of the local rule, it says, under the circumstances, the government should require disclosure of the government's alleged victims and allow him to respond. All right. Here's the tea. Here's the tea. Y'all come on in here. Here's the tea. So remember last week, Diddy's team leaked portions of text messages allegedly between Thalia Graves and her ex-boyfriend, where she was allegedly offering him a $3 million bribe to testify in her favor. On this channel, I've done a video debunking that myth, okay? Debunking that myth. The real deal there was that the ex-boyfriend, Thalia's ex, told her for the first time in 20 years, hey, remember that, R that you experienced? Well, I wanted to tell you there was video of that, and there was video that was passed around, and that video, multiple people saw that video. So she was re-traumatized. That was right after the Cassie incident. He's telling her this after what he believes was the statute of limitations that passed, okay? The tea is this. I kept thinking, why would TMZ leak this? Because TMZ is a site that posts receipts. I have never in the history of TMZ heard of a story that they ran where they simply said, we looked at the text messages. No. I'm like, why didn't y'all put the text messages out? Because the text messages would have told just a full story. The truth of the matter is what Diddy is trying to do, his legal strategy at this point, is to go to the court and to get bail by arguing, oh no, Your Honor, this was not as assault. These were all consensual relationships. So by discrediting Thalia, by saying the relationship with Cassie was they were just a little freaky. All of that is what he is counting on to be able to help improve the chances of bail. I want to know what you think of that strategy. Oop, hit that like button when you come on in here, guys. We got only 45 likes. We need to get those likes up. So the strategy is clever, but we are smart enough. Those of us here in the jury, we are smarter than that, right? We've pieced elements of this together. Also, by the way, you know me, I do my little investigation thing. I'm also a licensed private investigator in addition to being an attorney. And I did a little research on Miss Thalia. And interestingly, Miss Thalia is well educated. She actually has 2 degrees from Ivy League universities, multiple businesses, and is a professional, or was a professional. I'm assuming she's probably not working right now with all that's going on. And I say that to say, it would take a lot for me as an attorney, as an Ivy League educated professional with so much to lose, to make up a fake story. I have no reason to make up a fake story in anticipation of getting 10 million or whatever. Why? Because one, lying like that, I'm going to lose my license. You're going to invite all these people into your life to judge you, to tell you you deserved it, all of those things. So I just wanted to give you that other little piece of tea that I learned about the victim, Thalia Graves, that she was, again, well-educated, multiple Ivy League degrees. Because, within the Ivy League community that we know each other, basically. But within that community, yes, she's got 2 Ivy League degrees. She has a professional career. And so it wasn't like she was, no offense to bottle service girl, she wasn't like a bottle service girl or like Adria English. Adria English was a go-go dancer who was like, you know what, let me jump on this bandwagon. And then in Adria English's case, attorney Ariel Mitchell Kidd dropped her case after finding that she could not be trusted. So I say that to say, y'all, that's your little tea that we've got on that Diddy component for tonight. Next up, Christian, the unchristian Christian. Let me see if I can add this to the screen. Oh, I think it should do it here. Hold on. It should do it. All right. So Mr. Christian Gold, y'all been asking, is there an update? Is there an update? There is. So this is a small component of update. Again, I am waiting for permission from some of the victims to release information on a broader update. But Mr. Gold wants a new start. We've been beating up on him. Oh, poor Mr. Gold. He wants a new start. So, Paula Tink Tink, he has filed for a name change. You know who else does that? Scammers. Scammers like to change their name. Why? Because then you can't find their criminal history. Specifically, what he stated in this document here that I've got on the screen for you, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, let me do that the other way I had it before, so it's bigger. Specifically, this is a document that he's filed in court. It's a petition to change his name. Specifically what he says, and I know it's small, I'm going to read it. He says, I am submitting for a name change due to the generational trauma in my family. I want to start a new lane for myself and build my own legacy outside of my current last name. Doing this will allow me to free myself from the shackles, from the trauma, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Yes, guys. Give him free. He wants to be freed. And then he checks the box. It says, I do not intend to use this name change to fraudulently deprive anyone of any right under the law. Wherefore I ask that my name change, that my name be changed as provided in paragraph 3. Actually, this was filed. It looks like June. Well, it was signed June 6th, but filed more recently. Yeah, this was signed June 26th, but it appears that it was filed. Oh, it was filed yesterday. Y'all know I'm on it. Your legal bestie got you, boo. Got you, boo. So what's interesting, if anyone wants to oppose this, you can oppose it based on the fact that, some people have alleged that he has committed crimes, he's stolen money for them, and that by allowing him to change his name is going to make it more difficult for the victims. I'm just saying, guys. What do you think about him filing for his name change, Mr. Christian Gold, due to the generational trauma? Trauma. You know what else is called trauma? When you beat the crap out of your girlfriend, okay, beat her all in her face, cause her thousands of dollars in medical bills, when you cause her to be in a wheelchair for 3 months where she loses her job, when you cause her to get a rod in her back, when you cause her to break her ankles, that causes trauma, real trauma, literal trauma. And you cannot change your name and simply be void of that kind of trauma. Good luck to you, Mr. Gold. Good luck to you. Somebody said liar, running from his scams, child. Free yourself from them scams you've been running, says Danielle Cameron. Why Valentine's? Is he freeing himself from the bag? Yes, he's going to do fraudulent stuff. Tasham says, Tanya says, hello. Alteria says, I want to oppose it. I need to figure out how. I think you can write a letter to the court, get it filed, e-filed. I might be able to help you with that. Get it filed and say, hey, you are one of many victims, and you're concerned that with this name change, it's going to allow him to evade the authorities, and that none of this should be permitted until at least he completes his probation, which should be another 2 more years. I mean, I just don't think that people on probation, I don't believe people on probation should be able to change their name until after probation is up, because people need to be able to keep tabs. I may not want to be next door neighbors with, a person who touches people inappropriately. Oop. Ciao. Alteria said, I sent this to the FBI agent today too. Yeah. Alteria is keeping her foot on this man's neck as well. Alteria is not playing. Alteria is one of the alleged victims. And not only that, she's particularly spicy about this because he used her name and her husband's name to recruit and allegedly take from more victims. So she's like, you stole from me, and then you made other people believe you actually made me money and use that to get other people to come in on the backs of my name. Nisha said, Jennifer is with the shits, because how did you just get married and now your husband is petitioning for a name change? Fraud. Somebody, Black girls getting their shit together. Said Simone, continue to stay in his butt. Say that, Simone. Is anyone know Christian's age? He's 32 years old. Sorry, they got my little friend. Sorry, it's texting me. It says, so would Jen need to change her last name again? So here's what I believe. I believe Jen wants to change her name to Gold. She has already begun going by Jennifer Gold. Oh, let me check her social media. Oh, I'm probably Black. Pretty sure I'm Black. Let me just check real quick. Pretty sure I'm blocked. That is not what I was supposed to do. Oh, let's see. Somebody else who got it, let me know. I think I was seeing on social media. Yeah. Y'all let me know. I'm a little Black. Understandably. I'd block me too, Jennifer. I'd block me too, honey. It says, please don't talk like that, but he should not be able to change his name until he pays everyone that he owes. CG is lucky to be breathed. Seriously. No, let's do this. Moving like a true scammer. Scamming's in his DNA. He can't help it. Christian. Wait, Danielle. I know you didn't say that he should change his name to Christian Scamming Gold. Yes, guys. Oh, yes. Don't forget, guys. Let me share that tab. Don't forget, you can come to my website, which is SimoneRedwine.com, and get a copy of my ebook called Background Checks 101, Beginner's Guide to Discovering Who the Heck You're Really Dealing With. It is only $19.99. You can also click the link to book or hire me. Consultation started only $149. I handle matters across the United States. It's $149 for a consultation, and I would be happy to help. Oops. How's that? Oh, here it is. There it is. There is book or hire Simone. This is attorney Simone. SimoneRedwine.com. And then going on up to the top is where you can get the book. Just click right here to order now for $19.99. So yes, that is the current Christian Gold update. It says, as long as his accounts don't change, I'll run them people their money. I know that's right. Y'all hit that like button, please. Erica, what you missed is that Christian Gold, the update on Christian Gold, is that Mr. Christian has filed a motion to change his name from Christian LaSalle Walden, which is his real name, to Christian LaSalle Gold. And then Jennifer wants to become Mrs. Gold. Jennifer Gold. Gold digging girls driving me crazy. Y'all remember that song? Take it no more. Absolutely. So it says, Z says, I am disgusted with Tamika Mallory, always trying to prop up Jennifer. She was at the wedding, literally makes a living scamming the Black community. Well, no comment there. It says, I wholeheartedly believe Jennifer is into scamming too. There's no way she's oblivious to this. Oh, wow. Simone, does it say what he is trying to change his name to? Yeah, it was just, one more time. I'll put it up on the screen. Oh, shoot. Let me just change. Hold on. We're going to go to this one. Here it is. All right. It is. Yes, he is changing his name from Christian LaSalle Walden to Christian. It says Christian LaSalle Gold. And that the reason, as I scrolled back down, the reason he wants this change is he says I am submitting for a name change due to generational trauma in my family. I want to start a new lane for myself and build my own legacy outside my current last name. Doing this will allow me to free myself from the trauma mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Well, good luck to you or something. Golding down gone wrong. It says Jennifer Poor. That's tragic. What is the difference between what Christian did and what Nesto did? I can't tell a difference. Mr. Gold should be in jail for this too. Yeah, it does. Ooh, Tommy J says singing, she don't do food stamps, but she does do jailbirds. That was a favorite song of mine. All right, hit that like button. Why don't I interview the ex? I'm leaving her, the one that was injured. I'm leaving her alone because I might reach out to her, but I think she wants to heal and not be bothered. Because y'all, people are kind of mean. People can be really, really mean. So my concern is I'm going to make sure that if she gets interviewed or if she shares her story, it's going to be in a safe platform. What is coming? Oh no, okay. You'll get an update. If I can get permission, you'll get an update on the child support, girl. Yeah. Here we go. Dr. Dre. Now, y'all, this Dr. Dre case is wild. All right, moving on to the Dr. Dre case. Oh, am I frozen? I sure hope not. Oh, Lordy. Here we go. All right, let me know if you can still see me or hear me. I'm moving on my side. Lord have mercy. What is happening? Okay, let's see. Oh my gosh. All right, let's do it this way. Oh my gosh. All right, sorry guys, I could not hear or see a thing. I apologize. So, but now I'm going back to we're gonna do the Dr. Dre case. All right, so the issue with Dr. Dre is this. Dr. Dre, as we all know, has for years been embroiled in various situations where he's been accused of abusing women, Michelle A, one of his ex-girlfriends, among others. And in this particular lawsuit, this is a lawsuit that has been brought by his former psychotherapist. So this was the therapist that gave therapy to both he and his wife, and I believe one of their minor children, while the two of them were going through a divorce. Now, this divorce was messy. He had no prenup with this wife. And in the end, the wife received over $100 million as a result of their marriage. Well, this therapist he's a doctor. He sued Dr. Dre, claiming that Dr. Dre has been harassing him, including that Dr. Dre hired some men who then dressed up like the FBI, went to his gated community, and demanded to be let in to talk to him. That sounds a lot like how they claim that Dr. Dre had someone beat up in one of the music studios back in the day as well. But I'm going to add for you. So here is the restraining order petition. Oh, yep. Can we get those likes back up, guys? Let's hit that like button. Trey has asked me, Valentine said, what's my specialty? So my specialty, I do primarily personal injury law is what I focus on today, but I also do business litigation. I do a variety, and I do those along with legal teams. So that's why I say I work on cases across the nation. I do legal strategy. I construct strategy for various types of matters. And sometimes, honestly, in these consultations, I can walk you through steps where you can resolve it for yourself and determine you don't need to pay an attorney $10,000 or $5,000 or anything to do something, or that your case might be one of those that can be handled on contingency. So I handle a variety. All right, so here we go with Dr. Dre. Now we're going to start with the protective order. These are the protective order, and the it's called the actually no, let's go straight into the complaint that he had, because this is a straight up foolishness, y'all. Here we are. And I don't know. I'm gonna tell y'all, before I even started reading this, I was like, Dr. Dre probably did that. He probably did that. But we're gonna read it all and we're gonna determine for yourself. It says, intro. No person should continuously be placed in undue fear of their life. No one should be subjected to an ongoing barrage of threats. No civilian should be forced to wear a bulletproof vest when they step outside in public. Nobody should have to fear for their own safety because of their attacker's violent history, a history that suggests their attacker is capable of carrying out the very threats they continue to bombard over late night texts. Ciao. It says no individual should have to worry about people showing up at their home disguised as federal agents in order to gain unlawful access. Oh my God, if they had gotten into that man's house, he would have been done for. You hear me? Done. Here we are. And then it states, absolutely nobody should ever be subjected to this type of abusive, tormenting conduct, especially when the person being subjected to those threats and unbearable harassment is the doctor who had worked diligently to help treat this individual. Ooh, you got to be loony freaking toony to harass your doctor. It says the factual predicate of this matter arises out of the systemic and malicious campaign of harassment perpetrated by defendant Young against plaintiff Dr. Sophie. Young, a prominent and powerful figure in the music industry with a well-documented history of violence and abuse, carries out a series of unlawful acts deliberately intended to threaten, intimidate, terrorize, and ultimately ruin Dr. Sophie personally and professionally. Let me tell you something. This is, of course, not a case that would be taken on contingency, generally. But if there's anybody that I would be happy to sue and, then just collect against, it would be a Dr. Dre, because that man got assets upon assets. It says, Dr. Sophie, on the other hand, is a board-certified psychiatrist with a stellar reputation and a commitment to the health and well-being of his patients. Ironically, it's that dedication on behalf of others that led him to be victimized. Dr. Sophie does not relish in suing a former patient. However, he has been forced into this position by having been a victim of repeated acts of harassment and numerous intimidating threats by his former client, defendant Andre Romel Young, a rapper and record producer known as Dr. Dre. In 2018, Dr. Sophie entered into a joint psychotherapist-patient relationship with Young and his then wife, wherein he provided therapy and marriage counseling sessions. Thereafter, when Young and his wife commenced divorce proceedings, both Young and his wife, joined by their counsel, consented to Dr. Sophie counseling. Consented to Dr. Sophie. This is annoying me. Hold on. It covers up the words at the bottom. Consented to him pursuant to the terms of their divorce. Dr. Sophie worked diligently, independently, and fairly to help Young and his ex-wife resolve their disputes. After the divorce was finalized in 2021, Dr. Sophie ceased further contact with Young. 14 months later, and suddenly, without warning, Young launched a sustained campaign of abusive messages, late night reminders that he would not, quote, forget Dr. Sophie, and homophobic slurs. Even though long gaps will sometimes exist in the threats, Young will always come back with some reminder that Dr. Sophie should not, quote, forget him. Young is not exactly known for his honesty and candor, but when he threatened, quote, I haven't forgotten about you, Dr. Sophie earnestly believed him. Dr. Sophie lives in constant fear. He wears a bulletproof vest anytime he steps foot outside his house and is afraid to leave his home and is constantly looking over his shoulder. The egregiousness of Young's persistent, harassing behavior has compelled Dr. Sophie to seek redress and protection, prompting the instant complaint in order to hold Young accountable and restrain him from continuing his unlawful and harassing course of conduct. Y'all, this stuff was so crazy. Hold on. Yes, it said he should be in jail for impersonation. Really? He should be in jail for impersonation. DMX was locked up for impersonating a cop. I believe that. Oh, Valentine said, although Dre is 60, I don't put this as him. You don't see it as him. Okay. Although Dr. Dre is, oh, wait, let's see. Cosplaying as the feds is nasty work. Absolutely. Hit that like button, guys, as you're joining. Just go on ahead and pay a real doctor. Dr. Dre. Yeah, super chat. Thank you. Dr. Dre should know better. Everything now is documented. Absolutely. So what we're going to do is I'm going to read you components of the allegations, the threatening messages. Yo, these messages were tea, y'all. These messages are tea. Here we are. Okay, so it says Dr. Sophie's renowned psychiatrist with over 35 years experience treating kids, adolescents, and adults. Dr. Sophie maintains a private psychiatry practice in Beverly Hills. He was previously served as a clinical instructor at the University of California, LA Neuropsychiatric Institute and as a former medical director for the LA County Department of Children and Family Services, the nation's largest child welfare system. In other words, this man is qualified. Dr. Sophie has also authored and published 2 books in the field of psychiatry and communication, has made numerous appearances on networks, TV shows, including CNN News, Fox News, Dr. Phil, Today Show, Good Morning America. Dr. Sophie's expertise and advice is highly sought after by celebs and high-profile individuals in Hollywood and around the country. In 2018, Dr. Sophie was retained to mediate Young's divorce with his then wife and entered into a joint psychotherapist-patient relationship with Young and his ex-wife. That's important, guys, because under the rules and of basically the rules of psychiatry, unless you have permission for both, you're supposed to talk to one or the other, but not both. Also, many therapists would tell you if they're going to do your couples counseling, that they cannot also do your individual counseling. They feel like that's a conflict of interest. All right. So it says, rather than treating the mediation process as an opportunity for healing, Young decided to take his frustrations about the mediation out on Dr. Sophie. Frustrations that manifested themselves in the form of a nearly year-long sustained campaign of late-night texts, threats, and intimidation and violence and homophobic rhetoric. You're a bee. Cat got your tongue? Honey, Dr. Sophie, I don't know what kind of gays you hang out with, but calling someone a bee is not a homophobic slur. Also saying the cat got your tongue? No. In fact, I don't believe that Dr. Dre, even at 60, would tell anybody, did the cat get your tongue? Are we sure this is... Let's go through the messages together, guys. Okay. After Young and his wife settled their divorce in or about 2021, Dr. Sophie ceased further contact with Young. Young, however, had other ideas. 14 months after the termination of the professional relationship, Young launched a sustained campaign of attacks and accusations against Dr. Sophie. Young's campaign of intimidation and harassment began with a repeated barrage of recurring text messages, often late at night. The chart below details the incessant, harassing, and threatening text messages Young directed at Dr. Sophie over the course of nearly a year. Upon information and belief, Young committed these unlawful acts of harassment against Dr. Sophie based, at least in part, on his sexual orientation. So I'm guessing the doctor is gay, but I think he would call everybody a bitch. Like he would call a man a bitch too. All right. So he says, blank told me something disturbing. You're going to have to pay for that. And I believe that blank is either the ex-wife or like a child. It says, you're a B. Yes, you're a piece of S. You effed up. Just so you know, I love being underestimated, he writes. He says, let me be crystal clear with you. I know a charlatan. Y'all, a charlatan? You really think Dr. Dre is going to use the word charlatan? First of all, that's an SAT vocabulary word, and I'm pretty sure he's never sat for that thing. Second of all, charlatan, that's 3 syllables. He's going to say, I know a hoe when I see one. I know a hoe when I see one. Any of those things. I just have difficulty believing Dr. Dre called anyone a charlatan. All right, let's keep reading. Information is readily available, and I'm well aware of your reputation and the ethical breaches of conduct that have followed your career, especially during your tenure at DCFS. Fortunately, hearing you defend your choice of clinical interventions to the medical board, particularly as it relates to probably his wife or them, will bring me some satisfaction. Again, don't sound like Dre to say hearing you defend your choice of clinical interventions. Then he says prescriptions. Wow, you F with the wrong one. Now he said that. He would say that. But then he says, what happened, doc? I thought you wanted to talk. Cat got your tongue? I believe that. You're going to have to give me a written apology. If not, I'm moving forward. I'm not playing. Trust me. These are definitely harassing communications. It said, give Dr. Dre some credit. He's been in some big rooms with books. Maybe he called them. I didn't even know they're called clinical interventions. I mean, not that I'm the smartest person in the world, but that was real interesting. All right. Then he goes on to say, hey, doc, of whatever the F you're pretending to be, just know this. I'm not going anywhere until you explain to me how you tried to talk so-and-so into saying negative things about me to the media. You're a piece of S. Oh, don't worry. I haven't forgotten about you. Okay. Now, mind you, it appears this last text message was August 4th of last year, not this year of 24, but of 23. So I wonder what took him so long to file suit. Now it says, as Exhibit A demonstrates, Young's texts were overtly threatening, such as February 16th, when he said, you're going to have to pay for that. You're a B. Dr. Sophie was well aware of Young's propensity for abusive behavior and knew full well Young was capable of carrying out his threats. Young's public misdeeds are well documented. Nevertheless, Dr. Sophie tried to remain calm and did what he could do to diffuse the situation. The next morning, he responded, good morning. I have no idea what you're referring to and would make myself available to discuss anytime. Thank you. Nonetheless, Young doubles down, instead further threatening, you effed up. Just so you know, I love being underestimated. I don't know why I used that voice, but I did. Young further threatened Dr. Sophie's professional reputation and credibility. During this exchange, Young falsely accused Dr. Sophie of encouraging a third party to, quote, turn against Young to the press and further ruin Young's name. Additionally, Young wrongfully accused Dr. Sophie of inserting himself into the divorce proceedings between Young and his ex-wife, despite the fact that Young consented to Dr. Sophie mediating the terms of his divorce and voluntarily participated in the mediation session. Furthermore, Young falsely accused Dr. Sophie of encouraging a third party to, quote, ruin Young's name. There's no truth behind these falseless and far-fetched allegations. Dr. Sophie tried to let the threats go and not pursue them. Young, however, would not let go. For instance, March 5th of 23, Young sent yet another message. What happened, Doc? I thought you wanted to talk. Cat got your tongue? Given Young's status as a powerful and influential Hollywood figure and his public and well-documented history of violence and abuse, Dr. Sophie reasonably believed that Young was capable of carrying out his threats and causing physical harm, violence, or death. Contrary to the unfounded accusations contained in Young's text messages, Dr. Sophie has never engaged in such conduct. Instead, Dr. Sophie has upheld and continues to uphold all ethical and fiduciary duties under the law, including strictly complying with the health insurance with HIPAA and maintaining strict patient confidentiality. In other words, Dr. Dre, ain't nobody trying to violate HIPAA for you, boo-boo. Boo-boo. Dr. Sophie again tried to stay calm, according to this, in hopes that Young's threats, harassment, and intimidation would stop. Young persisted, unwilling to relent. On August 4th, Young sent Dr. Sophie yet another disturbing and chilling text saying, "Don't worry, I haven't forgotten about you." This open-ended threat was particularly sinister, leaving Dr. Sophie more fearful for his life than ever. Despite engaging multiple attorneys to attempt to facilitate a peaceful resolution of Young's issues with Dr. Sophie, attempts which ultimately failed, Young has continued to unleash unsolicited text messages, and in an attempt to ruin and state that he could ruin threats. He could ruin Dr. Sophie's life. Ooh, that's a threat. Threats to his safety. Because of the nature of his work, Dr. Sophie does not advertise his home address. He also lives in a gated community for his safety and privacy. At the time, Young was sending threats to Dr. Sophie. Sophie received a call from a security guard working in his community, notifying him that, quote, the FBI were at the gates of the community requesting to be led into Dr. Sophie's residence to, quote, talk to him. Dr. Sophie pressed the guard about why the FBI was at the community gates and what they wanted to, quote, talk to him about, but the guard offered no response. Upon information and belief, these purported FBI agents were in fact associates of Young who were hired and directed by him to impersonate FBI agents in order to gain unlawful access into his community and home and physically threaten, harass, and subjugate him. The incident, which occurred immediately after the initial texts were sent in February, was not a coincidence. It was a calculated, unlawful attempt to gain entry into Dr. Sophie's community and home in order to threaten his physical safety and send the unmistakable message that Young could reach Dr. Sophie even in the sanctity of his home. As a result of this incident, Young's unlawful conduct, and the numerous harassing messages by Young, Dr. Sophie has been forced to resort to the extreme security message out of fear of his life. Listen to this, y'all. Such drastic measures include, but are not limited to, installing robust security cameras at Dr. Sophie's residence, hiring private security to protect his home and physical safety, and going so far as to wear a bulletproof cap. I need to see that. A bulletproof cap and vest upon leaving his home for fear of being shot at by Young or his associates. Upon information and belief, Young has targeted Dr. Sophie and directed these threats and harassment to him, based at least in part on his sexual orientation. Young's sustained patterns of unlawful and allegedly improper conduct has severely impacted his life, physical, and mental well-being. Dr. Sophie has been left with no choice but to file this civilly, y'all. White Valentine says, I believe if Dre wanted him gone, he would have done it. It says Dre is the true NWA. Hit that like button. So here's what's interesting. Let me go ahead and look. Civil harassment. Okay. This is why. Okay. So apparently the man is gay. Okay. And now when I was looking at the allegations, it said he was harassing him based on his sexual orientation. I was like, honey, no, he isn't. Not cat got your tongue, not calling him a B. And then it dawned on me, California has special rules. If you harass someone based on their sexual orientation, you can get way more money. Okay. You can get treble damages. You get your attorney's fees paid and more. So that is this one, the Ralph Civil Rights Act. The Ralph Civil Rights Act. That's what he's able to trigger there. All right. Then you've got intentional infliction of emotions of stress, injunctive relief. Basically, he wants him to have to stay away, etc. All right. And then the exhibits. These were so weird. These were the text messages. He says, "You're a B." He wrote back, "Excuse me. I know he said it like that. Excuse me. I would have. I'd be like, "Excuse me, who are you talking to?" "Excuse me." He said, "Yes, you're a piece of S. Good morning. I have no idea what you are referring to and would make myself available anytime to discuss. Thank you." Then it appears later in the day, he said, "You effed up. Just so you know, I love being underestimated." Just weird. This just sounds crazy. I know a charlatan when I see it. I mean, it says Andre under the text message. I just have difficulty believing that Dre is calling people charlatans, but anything is possible. He is 60 years old. So that's like on the brink of his life. But, oh, child. It says, "I believe it. Dr. Dre is known to be violent. You know, you have to be a terror for your therapist to sue you. Hit that like button, guys. We've only got 180 likes. We need those likes. Thank you. Yes. So he was scared. He was so scared. He's wearing a bulletproof vest. I believe him. I do not think this is a money grab. I believe that someone with his background, right, that is a type of doctor he is, that has a kind of practice and things going on, he does not need to file a lawsuit to become a millionaire. He doesn't. He can literally run his business and do that. You know, if you run your business well, you can do that, no problem. So this is just weird, straight up weird. But I'm going to be keeping tabs on this case, as well as Christian Gold's name change case. So thank you guys so much for joining. Tune in. I should be back on tomorrow covering some additional topics. Let me know down below what topics you'd like me to cover. Just like y'all wanted me to cover Dr. Dre, and I got to that today. There's certainly more up my sleeve. Let me know what else you want covered this week. Thanks so much for tuning in. Talk to y'all later. Your legal bestie, Attorney Simone.